Hi and welcome to this week's video. Well, a lot's been done. You will see during the video that we really are cracking on. Probably 3 or 4 weeks off getting the wings complete. We'll see how we get on. Join me in the video. Okay, so here is the bow in place as you saw being sorted out in the last video. We've got it all bonded into here. I've got the last of the lower geodetic structure built up in the root there, tying the root rib to the fuel tank bay. And around the front here I've got the D sections for the leading edge sorted out and bonded. I've chamfered the very edge of the ribs so that it's parallel with the spar, so my little test piece goes in, that's parallel with the spar, everything's all nice and lined up, top and bottom, and then they're clamped. Just 4 clamps short of being able to do the whole set, which is quite good because I haven't yet cut the notch in for the tip bow. I've got to clean up the tip bows, plane those, and route the edges so they're ready to fit. Then I'll bond those into position and the false spar for the leading edge, and I'll then make up the little packing pieces to go in here to build them up to the same position as this face of the rib. I can't put this on that side because it would actually be thicker, so I'm putting it onto this side the same as I did on the lower wing. So I'm going to light ply piece in. That also gives it extra bond surface for the leading edge to go onto, and the outboard D sections will go towards the outboard because it makes it easier for the tip bow supports and everything else. That's what I did on the lower wing. Everywhere else they've put them on the inner face. Just helps to bring the centre of gravity in a little bit, and sort of allows, I think, a little bit better positioning for the false spar to bond along. So jobs to do. Once this lot's dried I can get around to it. I've got to do my capping piece, so my geodetic structure clean up. I said I'll show you that last video, so I've got to do that. I've rounded off already the verticals for the compression struts. Just don't like having hard corners. They're not adding anything to strength, they're just adding weight. Right then, having spoken to Paul, the boss at TLAC, that's the light aircraft company, little snoring just down the road from me where my Sherwood coat come from, I popped in today and they did the welding of my fuel tank while I waited. So the little blanking plate has been put on, welded on, and the union has been put into position, so we're all ready to go. So I've now got a left and right hand tank. So big thank you to Chris, the guy who did the welding. Did a smashing job. As I said, I was going to show you how I clean up the areas. So I like to see a little bit of excess resin coming out. That shows I've got enough glue in there, so I like to see a bit of squeeze out, but I don't want to see a lot of squeeze out, a lot of resin outside, because what the resin that you see is doing nothing for the actual aircraft other than adding weight. So I look around and I just work my way around one bay at a time. And this block's got 80 grit on one side, 120 on the other, 80 grit on here. So I just clean up, get rid of the excess with a nice little light sand. Any areas where I sort of see the excess, that's coming out, I won't take it all off. I just take off the bits which sort of standing up. So I work my way around inside the areas as well, and some areas it's just quite hard to sand, but I'll have a look around in all the bits I can. A little bit back there. It doesn't take an awful lot to get rid of it unless you've got a huge amount. Just round that. There's a bit of excess there. So having done that, now these let's do a bit there. Now these bits of strip wood that make up the geodetic, where it comes up onto the spar here and down there, it's got a sharp sort of edge on it. I've made it so it just protrudes a little bit further, so using a big block I go straight up and down to get rid of the excess there. So it just about touches the spar. Shouldn't take too much. And then to get rid of some weight and bits which aren't doing anything for strength, I'm just going to go at an angle. I'm taking that back, I suppose about a third of the width, third of the bond area back and down to, so it's a third of the thickness. Like that. I'm going to quickly clean it up with a bit of 120. I'll do the same at the rear. I'll work this side first, then I'll do the other side. But that's what I do all the way along. Actually, I'm not taking any strength out there. That's the bit that's sticking up is not adding anything to the strength of the geodetic at all, to that structure. It helps, so should the covering sag down, it's not going to meet up with those. And that actually, across the wings, probably adds up to a couple of ounces, maybe more, going across. I think I worked it out on the lower wings. It's about 4 ounces or so of weight just by doing that that's lost. So that's a quarter of a pound. So half a pound over both sets of wings, worthwhile doing. We've got to try and get rid of weight where we can. Right, I made up these light ply D sections to go in there on the root ribs. That way that brings that into line with the inner face of the rib itself. I did that on the lower ribs. It'll allow a better bond area for the leading edge skins and keep everything nice and flat and flush, so we don't have any strange steps there. Doesn't weigh an awful lot. As you can see, I put a Drunken Great lightning hole in. So the tip D section just need a light sanding, but cut the notches out there to match up with the cord line. So we've got the cord line nicely set up. That's set so it matches up with the tip bow for the size of slot. I'll get these sanded and bonded into position. In the same way as I did the lower wings, I'm just going to mark onto this false spar where the ribs are. I'm using it at the spar point. I'm marking on here. That way, when I go to the front of the ribs, the spacing is spot on for being glued, so that they're not bent out of line or anything like that, that they are perfectly straight going through. Then with these marked, I can glue them all into position. There you go. Okay, so the leading edge false spars are in position, bonded, all the D sections are in place. This will need to be planed down to profile, but I'll do that at some stage in the future. My next task is to start putting in all the half ribs all the way down, and then that will make this whole setup extremely rigid. It's fairly rigid as is, but that'll get the front end pretty much done. Well, here we have all the half ribs now in position all the way along, and that's it for the week. Wings are getting closer and closer to being there. So as I sort of said, the next section I'm looking at is cutting into these ribs. As you can sort of see, I've marked them up there, so we've got access to the tank bay, so I can try the tanks out. This one will need an extra hole cutting in the corner here to allow for the welded scab patch, so that the tank sits down. I think I'll see what that's like when I try it, but all in all, a very productive week. There's a shot going right the way down. We definitely have something that looks like a pair of wings. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.